I'm Scott Al Miller. It is Wednesday. This is Nicaragua Live. I'm sorry that we're doing an impromptu show, but it has been such an incredibly busy few weeks. We had every Thursday, we have social engagements and things. I just have not been able to do the scheduled live stream, and I'm feeling like we're missing out on doing the live streams. I cannot do a 8-hour show tonight. I'm going to be lucky if we're able to pull off 2 hours, but we're going to give it a try. And I at least wanted to get out and be a little bit live. I mean, last week we did kind of a live thing, but just with the cell phone and, got some music, which is something. At least you guys got to chat, but I didn't get to be on and participate in stuff, which I like to do. So we are live and bringing you guys the show on a Wednesday. We'll see who's able to join us, because I don't know what Wednesday's like. Like, we don't test the live stream on a lot of different days, so I don't know if some days are better than others. Some morning, evening, really have no idea. So we're just kind of seeing what happens, and not sure what's going on there. Yep. And so how is everybody? All right, people are hopping on. Michelle is here. Hey, Michelle. Whew, I am exhausted. It has been a very, very busy few weeks. It has been busy, but it's been good. Nothing bad, just really our social engagements are the biggest thing. We've had like 4 or 5 nights per week for about 3 weeks where we have stuff, and like this week's the same. We were out for something last night. We have a birthday party tomorrow night. I think we had something on Monday, but I can't remember. Definitely had something on Tuesday. Tonight, don't have anything in particular, so doing okay. Tomorrow's a birthday party plus a concert before it. Friday, concert plus birthday party plus concert. Boom, boom, boom. Saturday is a party, aqua park, can't remember what all. Like, so much going on. It's a lot, and we're all feeling really tired, and I'm trying to get the show going. And for those who haven't noticed, I have a new daily vlog, so I have 2 daily shows that I'm doing. And the live stream, I have time for it. It's just that it keeps being like, well, Wednesday night I'm free, but Thursday I'm not. By the way, I have a hole in my shirt right here. I have right there, and sorry. Tom is here. Yo, Scott from Hot Smoky, I think that says BC. I hate that the thing I'm reading is always missing. Oh, must be BC, Canada if it's hot and smoky, because all the fires up there. Knock on wood, we never have that problem here. That is a nice little thing. Let's see, for those who were on recently, there was I took the camera. Oh, there's some thunder. We're going to talk about that in a second. I thought the storm was over. We had quite the storm today. 2 weeks ago, I think 3 weeks ago, I have like all this pink equipment. I'm going to hold this up, see if this works. This is my mouse. Hate this thing. Absolutely garbage, right? I got it from Miniso. It's supposed to light up and do all this stuff. Like, I guess it does. It feels terrible. It's got extra buttons that cause all kinds of problems. Like, it's terrible. So I've ordered a new mouse. I'll get that in a few weeks. But I had this matching pink keyboard, and it was also just garbage. And I was like, cool, I have a pink desk set and a pink keyboard and a pink mouse, and everything's supposed to light up and do all this, and none of it worked properly. So it was like really disappointing, and then everything wore out. And then I was showing it on the video, and people were like, oh, you have an awful lot of pink stuff. And then I went and got this awesome coffee mug set with a little rubberized stirring thing, like for making tea and stuff. Like, that's pretty cool. And but then I'm like, I was at the store. I'll move the microphone a little bit. Hopefully it's not too bad. I was able to pick this baby up. Check this out. Oh, I get the light. Oh yeah, that is a mechanical keyboard, Bluetooth. It connects to multiple computers, which is really useful for me. This thing feels great. Looks fantastic. So I've ordered the matching mouse in yellow and black. You can actually get this in pink. I was very tempted to get the whole thing again in pink and be like, haha, I got all pink. But the black and yellow is really, really slick, and I'm in the process I'm going to put the microphone back. In the process of putting together a podcasting studio that's all going to be in like white with highlight colors, mostly orange because that's what I like. And so I thought that this would be better with that and just be cooler overall. So that is kind of my game plan with that stylistically, but the whole redesigning of the office thing is beginning. making that happen. So yeah, so how are you guys? Let's get some feedback, get in there and start talking. I don't know who's going to be around on a Wednesday, what you guys got going on, what is new with everybody. I clicked away. Now I don't know where you are. There you are. Well, you guys are not very talkative. That's a fail. Come on, guys. I know it's just a small group tonight. We did not announce this in any way. I've told no one. So the only people who are on who are people who are standing there looking at their phone to go, wait, what? It's not Thursday. And yet here we are. Yeah, so. Oh, they're already running ads? Who's going to see an ad? It's going to be a minute from now. And I want to know who sees an ad. Federico's here. All right. From his new place in Guadalupe. How's the new house? When are we doing a tour? We need to do a tour. That would be cool. I am checking a screenshot for someone real quickly. Yeah, so I haven't had dinner tonight. We're gonna do that after the show. During the show, my plan is that I'm going to I'm gonna order a pizza while we're doing the show, and then we'll end the show when the pizza arrives. But I'm not ordering it now. Like we'll order it later. That is my game plan. So. I have a feeling that's really loud typing, so sorry about that. Yeah, I don't have much. Well, I'm kind of waiting for some people to get on. I want like at least 10 people on before we start telling the stories of the day. Boy, I feel like it's been a few weeks. I feel discombobulated. Like it's been too long since we've done this. What's up with Spirit Airlines? So lots of airlines are saying they're leaving the region. Spirit has left the entire Caribbean, basically. For the slow season. There's just not enough flights, not enough Americans traveling, so airlines from America are shutting down routes for the slow season, which is a relatively normal thing, right? Not super crazy that they're doing that. It's just not very busy. All right, so today, I haven't seen any flights for 3 months. Well, Federico, there are flights right now, but there won't be in September. September, October, November, there's no flights. But August and December, there are. At least last time we looked. So it's all, if you're trying to fly during that window. I'm supposed to fly in August. I should not have a problem. We will see. But we will see. Or 3 times the price. All right. Can we do a live? I don't know if I can do it. No, I don't have a good way to do a live Spirit Airlines thing. We should do that. That would be great. I need to have that set up. It's a little bit too much work because you got to have a laptop and multiple things and do a bunch of stuff. So let's see. Managua to, we'll do where I'm going. Houston Intercontinental. Let's go look at the 13th through the 15th. Search them flights. Boom, boom, boom. Ooh. It's this little pop-up it gave me. Okay, those flights are expensive. Yeah, wow. The lack of flights is definitely driving up prices. Those are significantly higher than we've seen. So flights, the last flight I see is September 2nd. I am seeing flights for 197, but that's quite a lot higher than we've been used to. Obviously, we're getting closer. Denise says, hello, everyone. We have plans to be in Nicaragua in October. Would you be available at this time? Also, what airlines should we use during this time? So, airlines, I think you're going to be looking at Avianca, almost certainly. Well, it depends where you're coming from. Did you say, Denise? No. Denise, where are you coming from? I'm going to guess the United States, in which case, Avianca. But if you're coming from somewhere else, maybe not. Did you get your BYD? No. It takes a long time to do these things. Long time. Everything is slow. When I say we're going to do something, that means like 6 months before there's any possibility. Because there's so many moving pieces to every little thing in life. So Spirit is not looking good for the upcoming time. From Indiana. So as much as they don't think of themselves as part of the U.S., we'll consider that a U.S. flight. So that's Avianca, either directly through Miami or through San Salvador. Those will be your best options under normal circumstances, but it's also worth looking at American Airlines. Once in a great while, they will have a deal. But not super often, but it can happen. So I am looking right now at Avianca for Managua to Houston, same time frame as the Spirits, and those are crazy expensive, $400. So they're even more than Spirit by a bit. Ugh, that is not fun. Cool Car Mods, hey, I hope you're well considering the title. Oh, yes, we're going to get to that. Okay, we've got enough people on. So our adventure, we discovered that we have been robbed. This is pretty crazy. So we talk about, petty crime is the thing here and violent crime is not. Like, we don't really have any fears of violent crime happening here in Nicaragua. Of course, it can happen, right? It can happen anywhere, but it's not really a thing. But our house here... I talk a bit about how, people live outside and like there's always stuff outside, and that's why we have to have, we've got broken glass on top of walls, we've got Constantine wire, we have guards that walk around, we have lights and all kinds of things, and with all of that, it looks like someone's been hopping the wall and circumventing all those things and stealing laundry detergent. I kid you not. They've been stealing laundry detergent, we're pretty sure, at night by taking it over the wall. Somebody figured out that there was a spot where we had a gap in our cameras. We have reason to suspect who and why they know that. And we no longer have that gap. We have more cameras up, and it covers that area very well. And it looks like they've been, over time, stealing laundry detergent, which sounds insane. But when you realize that laundry detergent isn't traceable, it's relatively expensive here. We buy the good stuff. We have massive quantities of it. We buy like bulk stuff from PriceSmart. So we're talking like $40 of laundry detergent at a shot. And that they can then sell that in the market for about double what we would pay for it, because we're buying it in giant bulk and they sell it in little, like, single serving packages kind of thing. So there's actually quite a bit of money to be made by this. And so people have been stealing our soap. We've been had so much soap stolen, we're getting the police involved. Like, that's crazy. But so that's been going on. So a whole bunch today. We've been checking cameras, checking footage, looking for what we can see and all kinds of things. Like, it's completely crazy. Mo Money Don says, great video about the PS5. I hope your friend makes it. Thank you. So Mo Money Don, are you considering moving to PC gaming after that video? I do want to know what your PlayStation 5 game plan is, because that's some people need it, some people just really like it. Like, it's all, everybody has their own priorities and everything. But for us, we used to have Xboxes and PlayStations. We didn't get rid of them because of the move, but over time we got rid of them, and then with the move we're like, oh, that makes our lives so much better. Frederico says, pretty good, slowly coming together. That's his new house in Guadalupe. Brian's here. My flight from DFW wasn't bad to Costa Rica. That's good. I may have to do that. I may go down. You're doing DFW. Brian, who are you flying on? Are you coming down on American? Probably, from DFW. I might go up to Houston on Southwest. Cool Car Mods. We're moving, my wife and 2.5-year-old and 2-month-old, from Canada. I'm thinking of bringing them to Managua since there's a mall and more modern amenities so she doesn't feel left out. Thoughts? So you're saying thinking of bringing them. You mean you're thinking of moving to Managua, or you're just thinking that when you live here you will want to visit Managua? I mean, while you're contemplating responding to that, Managua certainly does have the malls and a lot more shopping and restaurants and modern houses. Everything is a lot more modern in Managua. So that much is true. I think it's a nice city. I like going there. My family enjoys spending time in Managua. It really is a good place to live, but it's just such a quirky place. I think I would really recommend spending some time there before you make a big commitment to that being the place you want to be. For some people, it's just fantastic. And they're like, this is the city for me. But often they're not very city people. They're like people who like having a lot of people around but don't like cities, if that makes sense. And Managua's like this weird, like there's lots of people, but it's not a city. Like it's really unique. And if you're like me and you're an urban guy and you're like, you love cities, you love big cities. With that, then I think Managua doesn't fit that bill very well, and you're kind of disappointed. And it's a quirky city, and if you jump straight into it, I think it's really easy to have like this feel of it being just like overwhelming and hard. But if you like we've lived here and experimenting with Managua over the years, now we would move there and be like, this is fantastic. We know the neighborhoods. We kind of get it. Like it's a nice place. But it's very easy to end up not liking it and then feeling stuck there. But so often I notice people either move directly to Managua and never consider Nicaragua in general, or they move outside of Managua and never consider the capital. And it's just so extreme that people it's like this oil and water, and no one actually evaluates it along with the rest of the country. And I think you really always should, because you don't want to be in we considered León and Granada and Matagalpa and Rivas, and when you're looking at those, they're all kind of similar. But when you jump into Managua, it really is a bit different, but it's still Nicaragua. It's not like San Juan del Sur where you're like, and that's another place. It's just like two very different bits of the same Nicaragua. But I think people really do themselves a disservice only considering Managua or only not considering Managua. But that really does tend to happen. We never meet people who are honestly evaluating both places. For us, we never evaluated Managua. Now that we live here, we're like, yeah, we could totally live there. But we needed that introduction to be able to do it. But I do think you risk, if you just go to Managua, having a really different experience in Nicaragua. Especially people who watch my channel, you're seeing León most of the time. I show Managua when I can, but you see a lot of León, and a lot of people are like, I love what I'm seeing. I want more of this, or maybe a tweak of this. And then if you go to Managua, you're going to be like, what is this? This is not what Scott's doing. Why is it? Right? And so I think especially if you're finding Nicaragua through my channel, there's a really good chance that living at least some amount outside of Managua and kind of dipping your toes into Managua, and you just get an apartment and you could be relatively nearby and then be like, okay, I enjoy going to Managua now. I know how to get around. I'm not going to live in some stupid area. I'm going to, right? And then you can move in well and be like, yes, we're excited about Managua. We know what it's all about. I'm not afraid of it now because it looks scary, because it has that looks scary kind of vibe and stuff. And yeah. Are security cameras expensive in Nicaragua? They are. They're a little bit on the pricey side, but they're everywhere, right? Because they're required by law for all businesses, so they're really common. Frederico, I paid $212 to come down and $620 now round trip. Yeah. Brian says it was 2 years ago. My money done. The portable one you talked about is just as much as the PS5. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a way, way more powerful system, but you got to look at the price of the games, right? Like, what's the cost of a normal game on a PS5? Like, I don't know, $60 to $80. What's the normal price of a game you pay for on a Steam Deck? I don't know, $5? Like, I get that there's different game sets and stuff, but like the overall ownership of the games is completely different. And the PS5 is only the game system. and you have to hook it to a TV, but the Steam Deck is a game system plus a portable with a big, beautiful screen, and it functions as a desktop. So you can just plug it into a docking station, put in a mouse and keyboard, and you can use it as a computer for normal things. So it's you're getting a lot more for the same price, and then you have access to a much bigger ecosystem of much lower cost games. Plus, it just does a lot more, right? Like, it's got really wild controllers and all kinds of things. Yeah, stealing laundry detergent is wild. It is wild. Mary's here, just hopping on. Where did you buy your security cameras? I think we bought them at PriceSmart, actually. If we didn't, they sell the ones we have at PriceSmart. So we should have bought them there. That would have been the smart thing to do. But I don't know that we did the smart thing. But that's what you should do. Also, sorry to hear of the theft. It's really, honestly, just really shocking and weird. And it makes for a good story. I'm going to do a couple of videos about that. But I think it's an amazing highlight of, because so many people are like, what do you mean it's safe? Clearly it's not safe. You have all these protections. Right, because people will actually circumvent them to steal soap. Right? I have an armed guard. People risk their lives, right? You jump into my yard, we have machetes everywhere. We have an armed guard. There's always a guard awake, right? Like I get that mostly it's going to be, I'm going to hop over the wall, grab what I can, and hop right back over the wall, which appears to be what they did. And they're not attacking anyone, so it's not like this violent encounter. But it is a dangerous endeavor to be breaking into people's houses and stealing their soap, right? Like, it's a very high risk, very low reward thing, but the reward is big enough because that soap could put food on the table for half a month to a family. And so when you think about that, it's like, would you steal half a month of food? Well, maybe you wouldn't, but if you were starving, that's reasonable that you would be like, oh, I don't care that it's soap or a computer, I'm going to steal it, right? And the soap is what gets left unprotected. But that really throws people off, that is actually something that people would actually steal. So it's a bit weird in that way, and interesting for a lot of reasons. We are moving for a medium long term to Nicaragua for sure. My mom is already established there in Jinotepe. Okay. So Jinotepe, which is really nice. Yeah, you could be in Managua and be really close to Jinotepe. So if that's a key thing for you, then that would not be a bad way to go. Or you could be really close to Managua and stay close. Like, you could stay in between because they're so close that they're definitely different places, but it's easy to live in Jinotepe and visit Managua, or live in Managua and visit Jinotepe, or split the difference and just be able to go everywhere. Because we have the kids and she wants access to indoor playgrounds, ability to make expat friends, and modern amenities. Yeah, Managua's going to be better for that for sure. Indoor playgrounds, definitely, that's a Managua thing. Loads of outdoor playgrounds in the rest of the country, but expat friends, you can do a lot of places. You don't need Managua for that. Jinotepe is a little bit hard for that, but I know expats in Jinotepe, so it's not impossible. And modern amenities does lean towards Managua for sure. I've been watching your videos lately. By the way, thanks for all the help. My pleasure. I'm glad you've been watching. How much does a 24/7 guard cost, or you're in a gated community? Both. I'm in a gated community, but we provide our own armed guard. You don't need them out here. But we really like having people who open the gate for us and take our deliveries when they show up. Like, it's a little bit of luxury, I'm going to admit it. But it's also, let me tell you, like, being able to leave the house open all the time, knowing people, like there's a security guard that lets every visitor in, and we have, like, I talk about this a bit, we have so many visitors, I cannot possibly explain. There are people here non-stop all day. It never ends. And you just start a day where I have nothing on the schedule, no one is coming to visit me, nothing's happening. Oh, there's the door. Right? Like, that is what our life is like. So so having a guard means that I don't have to jump up because it's always me. It doesn't matter what we plan on, it's always me. I have to jump up and get up to the gate. I got to let people in, and of course, I can't get there fast enough. They're just banging on the doorbell, right? So the dogs are freaking out, and everyone's mad because there's really loud bells going off. It just ruins your day if it happens even once. You're just like on edge all day. I hate doorbells. I'm like a dog, and but we have a guard. He goes up. He checks the car. We've had some people who were problems. In fact, the people we think that are stealing the soap were problems, and I got angry because they would come in and sit in our driveway and hit the horn because they like had someone working and they wanted to get their attention, and it's like right outside this window, and I'm like, one, I'm on the phone all day. Two, this is my office. I pay for this to be my office. It's my quiet space. I'm inside a gated community, and that's my driveway, right? This is layers of private space here. And he comes back there. I walk out and get the security guard. I'm like, this guy, out. And his vehicles don't come back in. His crew, they park on the street and they walk in. And he's like, you got it. And so every time they would show up, he'd be like, you're parking out here. And he would escort them in, and he would just stand there and stare at them while they worked and made them really uncomfortable. And I'm like, this is why you have a security guard. And it really does. It gives us a huge peace of mind because we have kids, we have dogs, because it's just a lot. I've had the dogs escape before, and the security guard will be like, he's down there. And you're like, oh, great. Because they're still inside the second fence, but we have a lot of space inside this, and they could be lost in that. So it's been worth it. And I think we pay a little bit over $1,000 a month, but we have a security company. They are armed guards, which cost a little bit more. It's fully certified, bonded, everything. Like, they have every single thing. They're in uniforms. They have sign-in sheets. If they're sick, someone else comes for the day. They provide their own transportation. They do everything. And it's been really good. I mean, not every guard is spot on, but our regular one who's here every day, he's fantastic. Such a great guy. So helpful for everything. And you need anything, you just walk out. And like, things you don't think about. We constantly have to leave money for people, leave food for people, just leave things for people. People are doing deliveries. Well, we'll take him to the guard, and the guard will hold on to stuff. And then someone will come and be like, oh, we're here to pick up. And he'll be like, here you go. And then when food arrives, he can just be like, oh, they're expecting food. Give me the food. And then he can bring it in or whatever. And of course, he does patrols and just all kinds of things. So it provides safety for sure, but it also provides a lot of convenience because he's almost like the butler. And with the way that life, especially for the way that we live in Nicaragua, it makes a lot of things better. It just does. Someone stole your laundry detergent, Patricia's on. Yeah, that's actually a pretty popular thing to steal in the USA too, but from stores. Oh, for sure. I want to know how someone scaled that giant wall of yours. So that's the thing, Patricia. They did, right? But the giant walls are not the deterrent that you think. So in this particular case, we're really confident that they had or have a full ladder and everything on one side. There's a spot where there's not a lot of light and you could easily hide on the other side. And if someone scoped the place out, we figured they could come down. So they probably have a real ladder on one side and we're using some kind of rope ladder on the other. And most defenses that you have at the top of walls can be defeated by heavy blankets. And so not to teach people how to scale walls, but without too much work, if you had we're pretty sure, because the detergent is heavy, we're pretty sure they had two guys, one who found it and one who lifted it up over the wall. If you had one run up with a ladder on one side and hold it, the other person can run up the ladder, you're still going to take a little bit of time, which is why it's pretty risky, but it's fast enough. And that's all those things, the glass on top of the walls, the serpentine wire, all that stuff, it doesn't stop people. The goal is to slow them down so that it either becomes a bad target, it becomes annoying, or it causes them to get caught. That's really the thing. And a lot of times that works, right? Because if you're spending 20 minutes coming over the wall, our security guard's going to find you. But if you're spending 20 seconds coming over the wall, there's a really good chance he's not. They just have to wait for there to be a loud noise, right? Someone comes down the road, makes a bunch of noise, you can jump over a wall and you don't hear them hit the ground or whatever. So it's it's far easier, especially if you're young and limber, to go over a wall like that than it seems at all. It seems daunting, but it really isn't. Federico says, I love walking around downtown Leon. Today took the bus to the market. It was crowded, and this old frail lady got on a guy, got up and gave her a seat. Oh, made my day. Brought me back to a different time. Momoni Dunn, are dog parks a thing in Nicaragua? No, there's no such thing as a dog park anywhere in the country. Never, ever seen one. Nicole Jeffrey, do you know if Managua has developed any coffee culture these days? Managua does, yeah. It's not big, but they definitely have one. I really like going to Scandinavo, Molinos, Barrio Cafe, of course. There's also the regulars, Casa del Cafe, Casa de Flores, Del Finca, who's the new one? I was just at Limoncello. They're pretty nice in Central America, Plaza Central America. Shoot, there's a fourth one. Oh, Mugs Coffee at the Gallerias. That's a cool place, but there's more. But they exist, right? Like there are cafes, there is coffee stuff going on. You're gonna have to work a little bit harder to find it. It's not gonna be like Paris, where it's like every corner has these beautiful cafes, and it doesn't have the sit out and people watch because it's Managua. Like you don't sit out and people watch. But Matagalpa has a little bit of that. So going out for good coffee, yes, Managua has that. But it's not the big thing either. It's kind of a middle ground. Cool Carmaj, you got me excited about Nicaragua. Having the luxury of having an armed guard at home is awesome. It is. It honestly is. Yeah, it sounds so ridiculous. Like, so if you have a gated community where you share an armed guard, it's like, oh yeah, no, that's awfully nice. And there's like 50 people sharing it, so it's like that's pretty cheap. But we have our own, and it's really funny. But he'll do anything we need, right? Because he works for us. So we'll be like, oh, our car's full. Can you help unload it? Like, of course. He comes down, helps carry stuff into the house or whatever, and he cleans his own space. So we took care of him, right? He has his own outdoor bathroom, not outdoor bathroom. He has a bathroom accessible from the outside. He doesn't have to come into the house because we have multiple structures. He has a bedroom. He doesn't use it as a bedroom, but he's for like storage. So if he needs to go and change or anything, he's got a space he can go. And then we built him a shelter. I say him, whoever's working. We built him a shelter out by our main gate. We had a spot where there's like a really big bush, and we couldn't really see. It was kind of obscured. So we just put a security station there. So he's got windows and fans, and like we powered it all. So he's got TV in there and everything. So he can sit in there and hang out and do stuff. And he keeps all of his his lunch in there and all those things, and a chair. And so he's got a pretty decent little setup. And so like on a rainy day, we got him a raincoat, and he'll just sit in there and keep an eye on stuff. And we'll see him on the cameras walking around and doing the patrols and stuff. And it's also nice, right? Like, what if we're not here and it rains really hard? We know that if there's a fire, he's going to call the fire department, right? What if we got struck by lightning or something? Which we're going to talk about that in a second. What if our drains got plugged and it started flooding, like our yard? Like, if you guys seen videos of my yard where I show it in the rain, like it can get pretty intense. Well, what if it was actually flooding and coming into the house? Right? He's on it. Like all that kind of stuff. We have a guy who's just watching everything all the time. So I love that. Having lived in Texas in a spot where storms were a major problem and houses were not well made, we're always worried we're going to come home and find part of the roof collapsed. It never did, but it was a real fear. And here, we know that if anything goes wrong, someone's going to deal with it. We can also always call in and be like, hey, is there power at the house, right? Like, oh, there's a storm. We saw the power go out somewhere. Is it on at our place? Like, it's just nice to know there's always communications to your house and always eyeballs on it at all times. And if we have friends coming over, we can just text them and be like, hey, so-and-so's coming over, let them in. And, it's all taken care of. It really does do a lot. You don't realize until you have a private guard, and you're just like, how would I live without this? Sammy is here. Greetings from Bon Air. Very nice. How are things in Bon Air right now? Probably similar to here. It's not very far away. Patricia says, I disabled my doorbell for a few years. Now my dogs don't even react when the doorbell rings. It still annoys me, so I'm getting rid of the doorbell again. I hate doorbells. So much. Cool car mods. 1,000 is a bit of a cost, but considering what you get out of it, it's amazing. It's definitely expensive, right? Comparing to everything else that you have in life, it is expensive for sure. But remember, 24/7, armed, no days off. I mean, the guy gets a holiday, but another guy shows up on those holidays. So they cycle in. So we've actually got a team of like 8 guys, but it's like, we see that guy once a month, this guy once every 3 months, this guy 6 days a week, this guy, almost 3 days a week or whatever. So it's not bad. It's also worth noting there's other ways to handle some of that. Cool car mod. It's like you could have a live-in cuidador who maybe does maintenance stuff and keeps an eye on the house. It's not the same as someone standing at the gate every single moment of the day, but they might be in the house to take deliveries, help you carry stuff, open the gate, and they're just part of the like family system. They live on site in most cases. So like if you're gone, they might hear something, they might see something, they might be aware of something to do. So that can give you a lot of that in that way instead for less money, but then you don't have an armed guard, and if they're off for the day, they're off. Gigi says, is your guard just for your house, or is it something that the neighborhood has part of the gated community? If he's private, how much does he charge you? That's what we were just talking about. Yes, he's completely ours, and he's a little bit over 1,000. It's not a guy, it's a company. So it's a pricey thing. You're not allowed to have armed guards here that are private, meaning like individuals. They have to be a bonded company. It is extremely difficult to get an armed license. So they carry like the Negra, the cops with the rifles. So basically, in order for them to get that license, there have to be police involved, like retired cops that are doing it and stuff like that. So a lot of people do want to get the armed guards, and some places require them, like the banks. But you have to go through a service to have that. You can't just find one of these guys off hours and be like, hey, I'm gonna pay you, $900 a month instead of 1,000, and you can come be my armed guard. He could be your guard, but he'd have to be unarmed. He has to turn in that gun to the company. So if you want that, but you don't need, right? We wanted a company because we want the service. We just want it taken care of. Because if the guy gets sick, if he's on vacation, because everybody gets vacation here, we didn't want a gap. We didn't want it to be like, is he here today? Is he here today? No. Always someone here. It's just who's here today is the question. Patricia says, would electric wire stop someone from coming over the wall? Is that a better security option than barbed wire? So it would not stop someone, but it would deter them a lot more. We have an electric system. All we have to do is flip it on. However, electric wires kill animals, and so we don't do that. But if you didn't mind cats getting fried on your wires, of course, it would make it less likely for people to come over the walls. But that's not something we could live with, so we don't do that. I grew up on a farm where we had electrified fence, not for security, so it wasn't quite as strong, and it was still Jurassic Park strong. I have definitely woken up in the middle of the yard after having been dead for a few seconds because it completely stopped my heart and left me just sprawled and seizuring. So not something you want to do to anyone that isn't actually breaking into your house. So yeah, it's a worrisome thing. Sammy says El Salvador Mountain is headed to Bon Air in the CONCACAF Nations League. Oh, very cool. That's awesome. TJ says you never realize how much of a hoarder you are until you move. Oh my gosh, it's so true. Like the dumbest things. Oh, I own 3 books. Why do I own 3 books? I don't need 3 books. Suddenly, I don't need 3 books because I'm moving. Yeah, little things that you're just like, but no, I don't want to get rid of these things. Oh, but I never use them. Gigi says, do break-ins happen even if you have windows and doors locked, or do they just take advantage of open doors and windows? It's kind of scary, rape, murder. So remember, we don't have violent crime here, right? So I'm not saying there's 0, but home invasions are not like America. So Americans are afraid of rape and murder when you have a break-in. Here, it's all crimes of opportunity. Again, nothing's all, you know what I mean. So it's not particularly scary. It's annoying, and there's no way to not be emotionally affected by people entering your home, right? It is. But so one of the things, Gigi, is generally people live outside. The reason our laundry area is really far from the house. it takes 3 security cameras to cover the space from our door to the laundry area. Now, we have a really large estate, but that's a really large space. It takes all these different camera angles, and like we were watching videos of like my wife doing laundry, because sometimes she does the laundry, and it's like, okay, here's a video of her leaving the house. Okay, here's a video of her going out to that building. Okay, here's her entering the laundry area. Right? Like, if someone is robbing our laundry area and I had a slingshot, I would not be able to hit them from the house, right? So it's a quite a bit of distance. So it's you have to kind of remember that for the majority of people living in Nicaragua, including the majority of expats, fewer expats, but still the majority, is that you have all of this stuff in your life is outside. Our dining room table is outside. Our main like breakfast place to hang out and have coffee is outside. Our dogs live outside all the time. We have so many chairs outside. All of our party stuff is outside. We have everything outside. All of our laundry is outside. And so because everything is outside, the ability to just kind of look over a wall and go, soap, jump the wall, grab the soap and go is relatively high as long as you can get over that wall. Do people break in with windows and doors closed? So the majority of people don't have people come in through windows and doors. Like, that's not a real thing. Especially because, remember here, or be aware here, that we typically have iron bars on windows. Windows, even wide open, are not enterable. These, you couldn't, there's nothing I can do to let you in these, right? You would have to have a hacksaw and a lot of time to come through those, even if I opened it up. Even though that's glass, the bars on the outside of all of it are really strong. Now, we leave our doors open most of the time, so obviously you could just stroll in, because the dogs just stroll in and out all the time. And we like having the wind and the light, otherwise it gets really dark. But no one's coming into our house, right? That's a really good way to meet someone who closes the door behind you and has a machete. So people are wary of doing that. And that would be, right, if you got caught in our house, you could potentially be running a gauntlet to get out of our house. You would exit our house into the first line of fences, at which point you're on camera everywhere as well. So you're being recorded as you're being chased. And there's dogs and people. Like, if you're in my backyard by my laundry, normally that's shut off from the house. Like, we lock the door that goes to that area. The dogs aren't out there. So you can be pretty isolated and be like, I'm probably not going to get in trouble back here, right? But if you're actually in our house, like, the chances that I'm not going to pop out of my office with a machete and Paul's going to come out of his room with a machete, like, and the dogs, if they hear you, are going to lose their minds, and people are terrified of our dogs, even though they probably wouldn't tear them apart. They might, especially if, I mean, I've seen them, if you totally surprise them in the house and we act like you're an intruder, they're going to attack you. And so they would have to then get to the next gate, at which point you are a violent intruder, and the armed guard can now shoot you, right? They can't shoot first, but if there's an actual altercation, they can. And so all of this would trigger a situation where they are trapped in a place where they can be shot. And I have had the police say, if you have a violent intruder, don't call the cops until you've shot them. Right? They're like, don't try to catch them. If they're actually there and threatening you, just shoot them. Right? Like, you can stand your ground. Defend your castle, right? That you can do that here. And so they're like, yeah. Oh yeah, no. They break into your house, you're in actual danger. Just take care of the situation if you can. And then obviously call the cops, right? But that's okay, right? It's the same as you would most anywhere. Like, logic prevails. Protect your family. But so people are really going to be wary of doing that. If they can grab something off a table outside, yeah. If they can get 2 weeks' pay by grabbing some soap, of course. But are they going to put their lives at that level of risk because they wanted to find out if you had something sitting around the house? Right? I probably have more things sitting around outside than I do inside the house, right? Like, and the one big thing in the living room, there's a TV. You can't just grab that TV and run. You're not going over the wall. So somehow you've got to get out, and then you're really exposed because you're carrying a TV. So it's, realistically, the threats aren't that big. The thing that makes a lot of Nicaraguan homes dangerous is that, and why there's so much razor wire, is that the middle of the houses are often open. So you can lock your windows and doors. People still just hop the wall and they're in the middle of your living room. So you have to kind of deal with it that way. We don't have that. We have a secondary roof, so we're kind of unique that we look like we're that kind of house, but we actually have metal all the way, like even a snake couldn't get in there. Like the holes are like this big, but the wind comes through. But the lizards get up there and they try to stick their tongues through, and the dogs get up on the couches and bark at them, and they have like a little thing. But I mean, I don't want to say do nothing, just leave everything open, don't worry about locking your doors, don't worry about anything, violent crime will never happen. That's when it will happen, of course. But you don't need to bring the American fears here. That violent, your house is always something you have to defend, and everyone's out to just harm you. That is not going on. But if you leave your soap outside, people are way more likely to grab it than not. TJ, he said, I just got here. What happened? We had a intruder on multiple occasions, we've now realized, has come over one of our walls and stolen our laundry detergent, which is pretty funny. Cool Carmont says, you said you share the cost with others for the guard. No, we do not. We're 100% us. How's that since they're at your house 24/7? So we could share it with the other people because we're in a gated community. So it's nearly impossible to not protect everyone. But because they're only ours, when other people arrive, they don't open the gate for them, and they don't open the gate for their friends and stuff like that. And if they try to ring our doorbell, because that's a thing, people will ring our doorbell to get, my buddy's not opening the gate, I'm just going to ring someone else's doorbell. My guard will be like, you can go now, right? They'll be like, no, we're going to call the police, you got to go. And because obviously you can't shoot them for ringing the doorbell, but he can call the police to have them removed, and they will do that, right? He will be like, you're not coming in. Like, you're now a problem. But before we had a guard, they would do that and just annoy us until we let them in. And it's like, this is a terrible system. But no, we don't share them with other people. However, they do end up making the other people's spots a lot safer because they're not going to let an intruder in and then wait to see which house they go to, right? But it's purely our... on the topic of your Texas house, foundation problems there too. No, we don't have clay here, Brian. So we don't have that floating weird house problem. The thing that can happen here is if you can get a lot of ants, and if you don't deal with them, they can eat out from underneath your foundation, and it can have a similar effect to the clay. But we've not had that happen. Knock on wood. But we don't own the house, so. Frederico says, in Argentina, we went to visit my cousin in a really nice area. We parked in a treed block, and this guy steps out of the shadows with a machine gun and asked why we were there. We explained, and it was fine. But, I guess he's just saying, but. Ron says, I hope everyone is okay. Poverty and or drugs can be a sad combination if that's what is indeed the motivation. I guarantee it's poverty is the motivation. There's very little drugs here. Obviously, there are drugs. Right, but nothing like North America. It is, it's something you see in the expat community a little bit, and I definitely know Nicaraguans who have some drug problems, but it is far less common, partially because of the poverty. Right, like at some point you just can't afford drugs, and that's just a realistic deterrent. But people really do need to put food on the table, and so that's a very strong motivator, and that's why generally it's, you only get so angry about people stealing some soap to hopefully feed their family. Like, I don't want my house broken into for that, but I also am not incredibly upset that someone probably did it for that purpose. Cool Carmont says, in Canada, leave your car keys at the door. Yeah, I've been hearing that it's really, really scary. Patricia, what laundry detergent are you using that costs 2 weeks of pay? Arm & Hammer. Is cheaper laundry detergent available for us regular people? Actually, I think that's the cheapest. It's just that it's in enormous quantities. There's probably something cheaper, but you're getting into something pretty nasty. TJ Bailey says, I seen your new keyboard was just purchased. A new keyboarding from Wooting. I don't know Wooting, but Wooting, the keyboard company. Very cool. Yeah, this is just a Logitech because I wanted to get what was available in country. I have not owned, this sounds ridiculous because I type so much. I've not owned a mechanical keyboard in so many years. It was so nice to get. It feels so good. It looks so good. It's heavy, and the sound is like, like the sound of the old IBM keyboards that I used to use when I learned to program back in the 1980s, and I just miss that. And so it's been nice. I'm very happy with this quite affordable keyboard that I was able to buy in country. I think I'm caught up with everyone in the list. So the other thing that happened, we had this huge storm today. I mean, huge. Hopefully I got some good video of it, because I ran some cameras, because I'm like, whoa, this is a big storm. And it like, it was, the lightning was so close and loud, like the house was shaking, like we were like, holy cow. We did lose power like 3 or 4 times, but never over, I want to say 2 minutes, which was, I think they hit the house. Like, I think the lightning hit the house. But we had one time that it hit and like everything in the house lit up, and it was like, but we were, because of the detergent thing, which was really taking our time today, our maintenance guy was out back working on the cameras. So he's way out at the edge, and he's working on the cameras, and the tree next to him got hit by lightning. And apparently, I haven't had a chance to go through the footage yet, there's an amazing video of him basically pooping his pants while having his face right up to the camera. He's like, ah! He came running into the house, and he's like, dear Lord. He was, for a good 15 minutes, he was shaking. It hit so close to him and was so loud. And we had, I mean, one after another that were really, really close. So it was a wild storm. And I have my my other channel, Aqua Elysium, which is the caller of the rain, where I just have videos of rain and storms. So if you're ever looking to just watch long form rain while you sleep or whatever, there you go. Oh, Fawn Sheriff is here. Yep. I'm from the Ozarks. I lived in San Jorge Rivas for 2 years and honestly enjoy the people there more than the expats. My father has a hotel there 5 minutes from the port. Oh, yes, of course. We know your dad's place. TJ says, I had a full-size mechanical keyboard and decided to go down to a smaller keyboard for portability. Yeah, I do prefer the bigger ones, mostly because I do numbers with my right hand. I'm doing this thing. You can't even see my hand. I'm trying to show. But this really is cute and attractive, and it takes up less space on my desk. And if I ever do move to another desk, it's portable. I don't do that, but if I did, yeah, this is nice. I'm very happy with it. I can't figure out why the escape key is gold. Everything else is this gray, black, and yellow combo, and then this one like goldy escape key. I kind of wish they hadn't done that, but other than that, it's pretty cool. It actually also has these emoji buttons, so I'm going to try this. So I'm going to go in the chat, and I'm literally just going to press one button and hit enter. And it does that. Like, it gives a smiley face off of a single key press. That's really cool. Now, it's only 4 things, plus I've got a button that brings up the emoji selector, but the other 4 buttons are my 4 most popular emojis, and there's different, like I can take the buttons off and put a different one on to change what it is I have in that space. But it's so nice that I can just be like, oh yeah, I use like a winking emoji a lot, boop, and I don't have to go do anything, just it's there. So I'm very happy about that. And it's a multi-computer switcher. Did my light die? Oh, my cool portable light behind died. My little orange cat wearing the dog outfit. It was all lit up before. He looked so cool. This computer, I don't know if you can see it. It's right. Oh, it's just off camera, but there's you can see the edge of it right here, and blurry, of course. This is a computer that we use for a lot of things, and it's hooked up to mostly to the monitor over here. With this keyboard, I just press 2, and it goes boop, and I can type over on. I just did something. I can type over on this computer using the same keyboard, and then I just hit F1, and it comes back to this computer. And that has been, it's taken me a little bit to get used to it, but it's really cool. Cool Carmon says, no super chat, and then I think he figured out the super chat. And wow, thank you very much. That's awesome. I think that's the super chat thing. I don't really know. I'm not good at those things. But you get one of those from a single key press. Mike Coffee, thank you for all you do. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's the super chat thing. But there's all these like weird things in YouTube, and I do watch a lot of YouTube, but I'm not good at understanding all the different things. I need a full-time social media like content manager that does a bunch of this stuff because I'm busy making videos in case anyone wasn't aware. That's, everything like that it's like, do you spend time making a video or do you do all these other things? Now I did, if you watch the Everyday Vlogger, also this guy, on that channel coming up real soon, I'm going to be talking about vidIQ, which is a tool for managing YouTube specifically. And it allows for like investigating the quality of the thumbnails and the titles and a whole bunch of things that don't really matter to you guys too much, but in theory, it makes the show work a little bit better. And so if my hope is that by using it, because it's not free, that it's going to up what's going on the show. Not necessarily make the quality better, but make more people engaged. And the more people that engage, then the easier I can make a better show. So we're trying it out for a year to see if it causes me to do a better job. I think that's the way to look at it. Fawn says, I love Nicaragua, so lucky to get to stay 2 months this year. Awesome. What time period are you coming? And are you staying in San Jorge? Brian says, I'm sure nothing like Amazon or the big box retailers here. How is it getting other cool things like a gaming chair? Oh, how is it getting tech and other cool things? You mean like this gaming chair? Oh, yeah. My Radio Shack gaming chair. So, I mean, there's shopping in the country. Right, Brian, you can go to PriceSmart, so it's like going to Costco. I got this really cool keyboard. At Comtech. And a lot of that stuff cost extra, right? TJ and I were looking, and they had like really high-end gaming monitors, and they were like double the price of the US. That's a bit much. What most people do is see if what they want is available in country. If it's electronics, mostly it's not. And then you do some version of getting things from the outside. So if you're like me and going back and forth on a semi-regular basis, I have a place in Miami and a place in Houston, and I stage my stuff there. And anytime I'm flying in, I just get all that stuff and fly back with it in luggage. So like right now I'm coming to Houston sometime soon, and I have a load of stuff available to me in Houston for me to pick up. And so I'll be bringing back a bunch of cool stuff, including a new camera, including a new microphone, some stuff like that, and then smaller things as well. But there's always like one of those kinds of things in there. For those who are wondering, I'm getting a Zoom shotgun mic with 32-bit float to help out with the concerts. I was testing the other, it's always out of reach, the other Zoom 32-bit float item. And I was so happy with that, but that's like a portable recorder. It's like great for talking. That's its purpose. It's proven that the tech works. So getting a shotgun mic that mounts to a camera is going to make my life even easier and give me a second device and help cut out audience noise when I'm recording shows. That was a lot to say where I'm getting stuff from, but so that's one way to do it. And for those things that are not time sensitive, I just do that, and it's basically free. When I have something that I need to get that's time sensitive, then you just use a shipper, and there's a small extra fee and a few extra days, and you just ship things to your shipper, and you can tell them to wait until you get a few different things, or send immediately. You can have them send cheap by ship or fast by plane, and then stuff gets shipped to your house, and life is nice and easy. Yeah, it's a little bit more money. Yeah, it's a little bit more time than Amazon, but the rest of your life is so easy and cheap that it's really not a big deal in any way whatsoever that you have to pay a little bit extra for some isolated items. So that's kind of how you deal with that. Ron says, my wife is the super chat in our house. Ha ha ha. TJ says, you're going to submit anything to Google Street View? Yeah, I want to try that out. That seems like it would be cool. And I do a lot of streets, and it gives me an excuse to walk around with the 360. TJ says, I'm going to bring a lot of food seasoning. I know a lot of people who does that. Ron says, adios, hombre. Voy a ver las noticias. Buenas noches. Cool Car Mods, you're an audiophile. Love that stuff too. You know, I used to be a real audiophile. Like, I had totem speakers and tons of hi-fi gear. I was really serious into it. I've backed off a bit of that, and I'm a lot more practical now. But because of the show, and for example, like, this is not meant for this. I'm so just kind of double dutying this. Hopefully you can hear me. But this is what I'm recording the audio on. And, it does a pretty good job. I really like Rode equipment. I've been very happy with Rode and Blackmagic and Zoom, and so I play with a couple different things. But for the show, I really try to focus on practical gear. So obviously I'm spending a bit, but I try to keep it within reason to where I'm not like going nuts and getting completely crazy stuff that just doesn't make that much sense. I'm trying to keep it to practical high end, but some things like when you're recording live concerts here, they are so loud and the dynamic range is so high that if you don't do 32-bit flow, I don't know how you can do it. And now that I have that, like, wow, like go watch the Larry Emerson on Nicaragua on YouTube, not the live stream. Like, actually go to the channel Nicaragua, and there's a full concert of Larry Emerson, and listen to that, because that was filmed with the 32-bit float little tiny Zoom recorder, and that's a dual microphone pocket device that's $99, and the one that I'm getting for doing the concerts in the future is a $150, $160 boom. So it's a single mic instead of two mics. I think there might be two mics in there now that I say it. And it's not a little pocket recorder. It's meant to mount to the top of a camera. It's really similar, but it's a slightly higher end shotgun versus a slightly lower end pocket recorder, and hopefully that combination gives me a little bit better audio. I do enjoy doing quite a lot of that stuff. Yeah, and Rode, I've been so happy with. A bunch of Rode stuff. Yeah, Shure is pretty good. I've just never been a Shure fan. I don't know. One of the things about Rode is that you have I feel like the range of gear is more interesting for what I do. Shure is much more like going to be Mary, it's his dad's place. Oh, Fawn is here now at San Jorge Rivas at Dad's Hotel in Southern Nights. I do need to get down there to the port. That would be cool. TJ says, I still want to check out that website I sent you if they have a local store. Oh, yeah, we got to check out that local store. We do got to do that. Rode really focuses on the YouTubing market. And I know that sounds like, the what? Like, they do what now? But if you look at the stuff that Rode has, it's like really designed for camera mount. It's really designed for podcast studio. And so it's good, but it's not crazy. But you can do music, obviously, but it's not built for that. They really focus on exactly what I do, including like their interface systems. All of it are very like very practical for exactly what I do. Whereas Shure, it's much more likely to be like, hey, you got a band you're getting together, we're gonna make the microphones for that. Like they go higher end and handle more traditional audio. Obviously, a microphone's a microphone. Like, there's a lot of crossover, but they, like, just the form factors and stuff that Rode does, I think, is better. And so my goal, hopefully coming up relatively soon, is that I want to get a full podcasting studio that does a 4-channel, and I want to have a whole room, and I want to have everyone with the full Rode pod mics, which are good but not crazy, and they're really cool looking, so they're good on camera, which is also important, and all in white with the white Pro podcasting, the Pro 2 recording board with all the controls and stuff. And it's similar to the broadcast board that I use for the video, but it's meant for podcasting, and just does all the XLR inputs and all the mixing and all that. And I think that'll be I'm really excited to do that. It's gonna be like $3,000 or $4,000 of road gear, which is not crazy when you're talking about that. But I think that'll be really cool. And yeah, you could do that with other people, but you're like piecing it together from lots of different vendors. And I think Rode just has this really nice ecosystem for all of that. That's just designed around what I do, and not other things anymore. I used to be, for Cool Car Mods, I used to be a studio tech. Like I used to be a producer in a studio. I had bands that I represented, and I've recorded in studios, I've run studios, I have a degree in running studios. So there was a time when I did all that stuff for bands and real music recording and stuff, but it's been a long time, and now I enjoy just doing the content creation. But yeah. So Cool Car Mod says, can we get more advice on places to be if you have small kids? Cities, I mean. If you think about it from a perspective of a different country, right? Say you're going to Germany or the United States or whatever, and said which municipalities are better for small kids. Very rarely do people actually have much of an opinion on that, because basically, you could say countries. Which country is more accommodating to small children? You could say Spain puts playgrounds absolutely everywhere and rubber mats and all this protection, and then Honduras does a whole lot less. Okay, at a national level, I think you get some way to compare. Being in Nicaragua, I don't know how much you can actually compare which cities are better or not for kids. They all have playgrounds. They all have similar streets, similar playgrounds, similar restaurants, similar everything. The only thing that I think is going to be majorly different is, do you want to have things like beaches? That could be a factor, or do you want to be where there's just more, and that's where Managua comes in. All the others are going to be pretty similar as far as how much there is. Managua is the one place that's going to really stand out with bowling and laser tag and arcades and just more things. That's where all the things are. When we want to do those things, we go to Managua. But how often do you do those things? Do you do it all the time? Do you do it once in a while? What? Thank you. What is going on? I really appreciate it. That is awesome. But remember, we're a small country. So if you are thinking about Leon, right? Now, obviously, Leon has an advantage of being safer than everywhere else. So obviously, that's good for kids. But our streets are also colonial, and kids don't tend to like that. So that may be an offset. But safety is obviously a big thing for kids, for everyone. And so if you are in Leon, for example, and you say, I want to go bowling, well, how far are you willing to go for bowling, and how often are you going to do it? If you're like, I'm going to do it every weekend, then you really need to kind of plan around that. Like, this is a major part of your life, and you need to know where the bowling alley is before you make a decision, because there's like one, right? And so if you're not at that one, you got to get to that one. But if you're only doing it like every 6 months, which is like what we do, 6 to 12 months, we do it a couple times a year, and we enjoy it, but it's not like we got to do it. Then it's like, well, you could live anywhere. Like, what's the effort to be willing to do it? So for us, taking an hour and a half, maybe 2 hour drive to Plaza Natura in the south side of Managua, even from Leon, is like a no-brainer. So we just, every so often have a Managua weekend. And now that we found the really cool Cuban place that we're going to check out and do some stuff on the show, if you guys haven't seen the episode where I discovered that, go watch that episode at the end of this. That's going to makes it so cheap. What's it going to cost us for a night? Maximum $40, right? And if we need to, depending on our budgets, we could get it down below 20. But we really don't need to. So $40 to stay for a night. So let's say we're going to spend $120. We're staying for 3 days. That's you come in on one day, spend the night, full day, spend the night, full day, spend the night, some part of the day, and go home. Like, you've got two and a half, if you really push it, 3 days of time in Managua for $120. Take the family. That's getting 2 hotel rooms, right? That's like my wife and I get one, kids get one. My kids are teenagers, so you can do that. then we can go out to eat. We can go do bowling. We can go see movies at the high end theater. We can go eat again. Like they want to do a cafe. You want to do right, all these different things, and it can be really, really easy when you start thinking about how close everything is, how cheap it is to get around the country, and how cheap it is to do things, even when they're expensive things, like, oh, we're going to go stay in another city. Isn't that expensive? Well, it is compared to your really cheap everyday life. But your everyday life is so cheap, sometimes splurging on these little things is a no-brainer. And if you're going to live in Managua all the time because you want to be close to things, what's that going to cost you? It's going to cost you at least an extra $50 a month, maybe $100 a month, right? Just to match your life that you would have in Leon or Masaya or something in Managua. It's not an expensive city, but it's more than those. It's not Granada expensive. And so you're going to pay a little bit of a premium for that little bit of convenience. Maybe that'll save you money overall, but is it the city you want to live in? If not, living in another city is probably not a big deal. For us, we go to Managua like every 2 weeks. Now, sometimes we take the kids, sometimes we don't. It really is easy from here. And if you're in Matagalpa, it's a little bit harder, but not much different. Granada, it's easier. Masaya, it's way easier to the point where you almost don't think about it. If you're in Hinotepe or Didiamba, really easy. Not quite Masaya easy, but definitely easier than us by a lot. If you're in Chinandega, it's only 45 minutes worse than us, maybe not even. If you're in like Esteli, you start getting, Acatal, they start to be like, Managua's out there. That's a pain. But for most of the country, like most of the country, Managua is so easy to get to that you only need to weigh. Do I want to be around that stuff every day? Totally understand that. That might make sense. Or do I want to be able to go within reason? And that's good enough. And, 13 out of 14 days, we're going to be happy staying in our whatever city we choose, whatever village we choose, country, farmhouse we choose, and just, living cheaper, living at home. Maybe you're watching Netflix, maybe you're playing video games, right? That came up. Do you need to be in Managua to do those things? No. You can have a farmhouse south of Nagarote in the middle of nowhere, and when the time comes and you're like, I want to go bowling with the kids, you're going to be like, we saved so much money living here and watching Netflix and playing Skyrim for the last 13 days that's we're going to go to a fancy hotel, we're going to eat dinner at a fancy restaurant, and we're going to go to fancy bowling, and we're going to order pizza while we're bowling, and we're just going to go and the adults are going to get margaritas while the kids have the pizza, and we're just... And at no point does that splurge hit your budget because you've saved so much money everywhere else. If that's even the thing you care about, right? Maybe it's all so cheap that you're like, I don't even care. But those are the considerations, I think, for most people. That other than that, I think, as far as I can tell, right? All the cities are pretty good for kids. They all have parks. They all have water parks. They all have access to things. Leon has the beach, other places don't. Managua has the things, other places don't. And Nindirim has the dinosaur park. How often are you going to go to that, though? But I do love it. Cool Carmod says, also the car to get if you have the budget with small kids, too. In my case, was thinking of Prado or Hilux, but also considering a Corolla. I have a Corolla. It's fine. Mine is not fine. Mine's a piece of crap. But in general, Corollas are good. Don't get one that's been beat all up and the front end is broken. Prado and Hilux will work. Obviously, gas mileage is a lot worse. I am a Toyota guy in general. However, living here, I did a video on this not too long ago. The Chinese car makers have so many offerings here at such good prices. It's hard to justify getting a Toyota, and we're not going to. We're almost guaranteed we're going to be getting Chinese cars from now on because half the price, wow. And they're matching Toyota in quality rankings. Yeah, why not? And we can get the parts and everything here. Toyota definitely rules here, but it is a price premium just because it's fancy. But Toyota is definitely an option. Alan says, have you considered Hyundai? Obviously, he's not asking me. He's asking Cool Car Mods. But as someone who has been subjected to Hyundai and Kia cars, I would never consider them. Ever. They can't make that stuff cheap enough to justify it. I will happily get Toyota or Nissan or Mazda and pay way more, or I will happily get one of the many Chinese options like Cherry, BYD, GAC, JAC. There are a ton that are cheaper and vastly better. Though I personally, Hyundai and Kia, which is a brand of Hyundai, are the absolute, other than what's it called? The Indian truck, Matsui or whatever, that I'm not getting. Other than that, the Korean cars and appliances and phones are consistently, without fail, the worst products I've ever bought. Not just in bad quality, but I consistently feel that the people who made those products truly hate me as a consumer. They always feel like when making the product, they went out of their way to make sure I would never feel that the product appreciated me or worked well for me. Whether it makes an outrageous amount of noise that I can't stop, whether it has booby trap buttons that cause the phone not to work, whether it just dies quickly and burns out and is made shoddily, whether it drives poorly, costs too much, whatever. I've never, ever had one of those companies make a product that I was not absolutely furious that I had been tricked into spending my money on. No matter how cheap it was not worth whatever savings I perceived. Toyota is my favorite if I buy cheap cars. Just be aware that's not a cheap car here. That is the most expensive rational car. You can do things to spend more money on cars. You can't get from a dealer car that costs more and is widely available in country. Technically, you can get American cars here. They're not as well made and cost more. So there's a way to spend more without completely losing your mind. But of mainstream cars, Toyota is going to be your luxury car here, not the cheap cars. Gigi says, is there a specific area of Managua that tends to have all those family fun type attractions? There's not. In general, there's no area of Managua that does anything. It's such a sprawl of villages. There's a really general, like the south side, kind of slightly east, but I think that stuff is actually slightly west. But seriously, Managua is easy to get around, and everything is just sprawled over the whole city. And so some things are at the Galleria in the southeast. Some things are past the city limits on the Carretera Messiah. Some things are on the Suburbana. Some things are on the Jean-Paul Genet. Some things are towards the Capitol complex. Some things are on the waterfront on the north. Things really are just sprawled all over the city. If you get into the old northwest barrios, a lot less kid stuff just because it's old, poorer city. And the southeast tends to be richer and newer because it's where it's radiating out as they add new things. So you do get a little bit more kid stuff out that way, but Plaza Natura is kind of west, and the Gallerias is kind of east, and a lot of stuff is in between. So you've got a pretty broad area that you could be in. But honestly, those things, we run between them. Oh, I'm at Plaza Natura. Oh, you want to get coffee? I feel like a place over at Central America. And just, whatever. It really is an easy city to get around unless you're in rush hour. Fon says there are 3 English schools in San Juan del Sur. I'm pretty sure live outside the town area. Check it out. I have a friend who is a teacher there. Hope that helps. Not sure what that was in reference to. Did I miss a question? Cities, I mean. Yeah, San Juan del Sur. San Juan del Sur has some stuff for kids, I suppose. I really don't know how much it has for kids. It has schools. I don't know if I would want to send my kids to English schools in San Juan del Sur. San Juan del Sur is known for a higher crime rate than most of the country. It's a small village, so it's not bad, but it's not even Managua safe. If that matters. It tends to be expensive. It's an enclave, and its culture, both its local culture, which is very little, and its expat culture are very different than the rest of Nicaragua. And so pretty typically, if you're watching my show and saying Nicaragua seems really good, you're probably not going to like San Juan del Sur. That's not 100%. We have people from the show who live in San Juan del Sur and swear by it. So it goes both ways. They're very different. But in general, if you're considering Managua, if you're considering Leon, you're considering all these places, San Juan del Sur isn't going to match the expectations that you have for cost, but for culture mainly. That's the biggest thing. Can you cross platforms on Steam Deck? I might get one before I leave. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I know what it's a platform. The ability to cross platforms comes from the games, not from the platform. So it depends on the game you're playing. Just like on a PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 itself has no impact on the ability to cross-platform game. It is 100% the game on the PS5 that makes that decision. Patricia says, can you get a Chinese car with automatic transmission? Of course. World's most modern cars, safest cars, and they make the most electric cars. Electric cars are all automatic transmission or transmissionless, depending on how you define it. What makes and models are you considering besides the Seagull? So the Seagull is just for me to get around. We're really looking at the Cherry Tigre 8 Pro E. I'm going to grab that real quick, see if I can find it. The pizza place I wanted to order from just closed, so that causes a problem. For some reason, they stopped doing delivery, probably because of the storm. There we go. Let me grab this. That is one of the ones we're looking at. Really good range. Oh, cool car mods, I agree. Hyundai and Kia are not it. Yeah, they're just... Brian says I would never own Hyundai or Kia either. Don Timoteo, traffic in Managua can be terrible. It absolutely can be. There's times that it's really awful. But there are also a lot of times, it's like at rush hour, it's bad. But it's also not a huge place. So it's even when it's bad, it's only so bad because you only have so far to go. But this is cool. So I hate them, but Little Caesars is open and delivering. So getting Little Caesars. That's unfortunate, but you know what? It's cheaper than Pizza Hut, which I was going to do. So I'm not it's not exactly tragic, I suppose. And they have the crazy cheesy bread or whatever it's called. Combo Locura. And it comes with a can of Coke, whatever. Okay. But I guess, we save some money. That's all right. Super cheese. Pizza gigante de pepperoni con mezcla de quesos. Sure. Sorry, guys, I've never ordered from Little Caesars before because normally here they don't offer cheese pizzas. They do meat only. Little Caesars is specifically anti-vegetarian most of the time, but at the moment they are offering cheese pizza. I just happened to get lucky. And so that's what we were getting. And I'm getting pizza for someone else. So I'm getting something with pepperoni for them. And we are good to go. So could have been a lot worse. Let's go check our order. We have one promotion of cheese pizza. Large, I think. We have one crazy bread with cheesy crazy bread. So I'm doing this intentionally, right? I'm giving you guys the prices and how this works as I do this. It's 25 to 40 minutes delivery, Little Caesars coming from downtown. You can only get one of the one cheese pizza that I got, but that's fine. That's all I need. So that's 212 cord. I'm getting the crazy cheesy bread with a can of Coke, because that's how they do it, 175 cord. And then I'm getting the combo duo cheesy cheddar, which to the best of my knowledge is coming. It's a large pepperoni pizza with a cheese stuffed crust, a soda, and then something on the side that's cheddar, and I don't know what it is. Altogether, it comes out to 740 cord. We're going to do all these numbers at the end and show you what it actually is. I'm going to do delivery I'm going to put this on my American Express. Sometimes I've seen some pretty big discounts by doing cash. However, I don't think it does with Little Caesars. We do a built-in tip. I always up it a little bit, so I'm doing a 45 cord tip. This default is 29 cord. You can do less, but don't. And so then it comes out to the total. There is a 39 cord delivery fee, basically $1. There is a tariff that is a few cents, like 10, 15 cents, something like that. And then the tip. All in all, the total cost is 785 cord, and going on American Express. So I do get kickback from that, right? I get some points and stuff by doing that, and that includes everything, including the delivery. I'll make sure I'm getting this calc done correctly. So that is, what did I say is the total? According to this, it's 740, but I think it's 785 is what I said. I think the tip makes a secondary charge. So 785 divide by exchange rate, $21.22. That's for 2 pizzas, a thing of crazy bread, a couple random sodas, and some cheddar thing that I don't know what it is. So that was that. Hopefully that was interesting. Gerson says, I just left Nicaragua. Love it there. Awesome. Oh, well, not awesome that you just left, but awesome that you love it. Hopefully you can be back soon. Brian says, dealerships are more mom and pop, right? Not like here, didn't see any when I was down there. No, it's actually the opposite. It's only big companies. Casa Pellis, the largest company in the country, owns the majority. Grupo Q owns the majority of the remaining ones. Autonica owns basically everything else. I have never seen anything that isn't one of those 3. They definitely control every single dealership in the country. Are there any good Chinese restaurants in Leon? There are Chinese restaurants in Leon. Most are like little street food places. None that I know of anyone is super thrilled with. Managua definitely has good Chinese restaurants. I've been to a nice one in Matagalpa. The one that people say is pretty good here in Leon, I went to like 9 years ago and didn't like it. The real problem for me is twofold. One, Chinese restaurants here tend to not offer any vegetarian options, and I'm pretty flexible, right? I eat shrimp, I eat fish, I eat cheese, I eat eggs. Like, you do not have to work hard to feed me, and I like tofu, like bean curd in Chinese food, I like a lot. 95%, so 19 out of 20 Chinese restaurants in country will not offer any of those things at all. And so it's crazy. Don Timoteo says, FYI, tax on electric cars up to $30K. Do you mean electric cars in Nicaragua? Like Nicaragua's just taxing that before or after the sticker price? We can buy them in Costa Rica and bring them in if we have to, so that can work out for us. Technically, that's not an electric car. That is a hybrid, so it's still a gas car. Kim says, hello, I'm going to Nicaragua this month. I'm taking only my desktop with me because of work. Do you think it will give me trouble with the authorities when I get my desktop without monitor? So are you bringing it in your luggage, and how big is it? That's really what it's going to come down to. I have definitely come through with several desktops. They've pulled them out, said, what's this? I said, it's my desktop. They said, okay, and that was it. But I brought in a gaming computer, which is also a desktop. They said, what's this? I said, it's a gaming computer. It was big compared to the regular ones, and they charged me an arm and a leg. So all varies based on a number of things. Fawn says, yes, Mary at Ronnie's. Patricia says, I've never had Little Caesars pizza, but I don't think I would like it. I don't think you would either. Could you buy pepperoni pizza and ask them to hold the pepperoni? No. I mean, you can ask. They're not going to. One thing I have universally found is that the leave a comment thing in the ordering is 100% ignored, even at European-owned restaurants. Like, it's not a Nicaragua thing. It is, if you're here, even if you're an American, magically you're going to stop paying attention to people's requests. I don't know if the app doesn't pass it on. I have no idea, but it's... Don Timothy, I have purchased cheese pizzas many times for Little Caesars in Granada. Why? You have Pizza Vale. You have the best pizza in the country, and you're ordering Little Caesars? Don, no tax. Oh, no tax on electric cars up to 30K. Yes. All right, that's awesome. I think that one's over 30K. It's also not an electric car, but I am very interested in getting an electric car. We need multiple cars, right? We're 3 adults, and we have other drivers, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and we need different cars for different things. So ending up with 2 cars minimum is pretty much where we have to be. We figured that out. And yeah, it's kind of where we are on that. So I'm going to be doing the live stream until food arrives, which should take a little while. So we're not imminently ending or anything of the sort. Just giving you guys a heads up that when they arrive, I'm going to have to go because I'm the one who goes out and gets the food. Even though the security guy's out there, but I'm the one who has to bring it in the house. We don't want them coming in the house for no reason just because we're here. And I need to eat, so because I've not had a meal today. That doesn't seem right. Did I really not have a meal today? I had a granola bar. I may not have eaten all day. That's surprising. And I'm going to tell people that food is coming. Hold on. Pizza Hut. No fue disponible. Okay. The best Pizza Hut in the world was in Managua. Maybe I was just really hungry for pizza. Wow. The best Pizza Hut in the world was in Managua. I have been to Pizza Hut in Managua. It wasn't bad. Yeah, I would. So, to be fair, I used to manage a Pizza Hut. I used to manage the busiest Pizza Hut in New York. So I may be partial to our pizza. And we may have taken it pretty seriously, which may have contributed to us being the most popular Pizza Hut in New York. And we didn't do delivery. We were the busiest even without delivery. So we were pretty hardcore. But I mean, we made the same pizzas as everyone else. But I managed them back when they was all pan pizza, pretty much, and we did like the buffet at lunch and stuff. It was cool. So that was. I don't think anyone here is matching that, even in Managua. I hate these commercials. They keep cutting you off. Oh, do they? I don't know what they do. That's always been a question because I don't get to see them. And I think later, because I watch the show later when it's recorded, and I think it plays them at a different time or stuff. Me too, a cook when I was 16. Oh, yeah, I was a cook there too. Like I worked my way up. I did everything. I waited tables for like one day. Like I sucked. Patricia says, I just checked Little Caesars near me. 1 cheese pizza, 1 pepperoni pizza, 1 crazy bread, and 1 cheese puffs. $22.47 before tip. No soda. Wow. Yeah, I mean, we know they're expensive here. That's surprising, though, that it's that close. 1 cheese, 1 pepperoni. Yep. So we got something that's probably like those cheesy puffs. It may be the same thing. Maybe that's what it is. So the only difference is, so Patricia, did yours include delivery in that price? And then the tip here came out to $1.50, basically. No, less, $1.30. Wait. I hope you've been following the Pizza Hut nationalism trend on X. I follow nothing on X, let's just be clear, but I don't know what that is. What is going on with that? And that sounds depressing. Is that why Pizza Hut's not delivering here? Is there something going on? Pizza Hut nationalism. Is this like a thing? $140 Pizza Huts file for bankruptcy. Oh, in Irving, Texas. Brian, it's your Pizza Huts. They're going out. What is going on with Pizza Hut? I I don't even know if I can follow this story. This is way too complicated. I can't tell if they like Pizza Hut, hate Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut is having a very weird moment. A series of tweets by Jack Posobiec over the weekend inspired a wave of far-right nostalgia for the Pizza Huts of days gone by. Okay, in their defense, now this is, first of all, I'm reading news from over 2 years ago, so this is not a current thing, but this is what I can find. Oh, that's Australian nationalism for Pizza Hut. Oh, wow. Nope. Then he's talking about Washington, D.C. This is just garbage, whatever this stuff is going on. That news site is worthless. All these things are worthless. Oh, nope, 2017. Nationwide boycott. I don't know. Okay, back to the real world. There's a $4 promo code available if you spend at least $24. Oh, nice to know. Fawn says, nope, not heard anything. See, yeah, we don't know what's going on. Us actual Pizza Hutters, we don't know. Bina says, it's a bunch of people that long for the days of the dine-in Pizza Hut with families with the red cups and hoping to bring it back. Oh, okay. They're just nostalgic for Pizza Hut. That's like Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs. I'm nostalgic for Pizza Hut. I mean, that was the Pizza Hut I worked at. I guess I was being nostalgic about it before I knew about this. I don't know what makes that nationalism. Like, that's just nostalgic for dine-in Pizza Huts. That's when, so you would get, right, this was actually really cool for those who don't remember or didn't do it. They would bring the pan, the insanely hot pan where they fried the bread, because that's what makes a Pizza Hut is they fry it. It's not baked. It's a fried pizza. And they would bring it to your table, and they had this grip that would allow them to hold it, and they'd put it on a thing in front of you, and you'd have this crazy hot fried pizza and these really awful cheap plastic cups full of soda. And it was delicious, and it was a big family thing. And my family didn't really like Pizza Hut pizza. I did. My parents didn't. And so we only went a little bit, but it was like a big thing. And we did it for all the school events and stuff. And when I worked there, it was always like the thing you would do. You'd go there after like a school event. There'd be all these people and do all this stuff. And it was just a thing. Yeah. So yeah, I get it. It was a good experience. Now you take it home and it's not the same. It isn't. I get it. Patricia says, yes, that was for delivery. Apparently our Little Caesars has their own delivery driver, so no extra DoorDash fees. Nice. They made here too. I'm using the DoorDash equivalent. So that's got a $1 fee plus the tip. More money done. Are there a lot of gated community options in Leon? No, there are a few. There aren't a lot of options of anything in Leon. We're just not a big place. Brian says, agreed, the ads are mostly political ads and welding for me. Not sure where the welding cookies are coming from. Wow, that's weird. One thing I like here, no political ads. None. Is that really true? I think that's true. I don't think I mean, you could argue that a lot of things going on are political ads. Like, there's a billboard that's like, rah government. I guess that's a political ad, but it's not like I'm watching political ads. Like, they don't play as an ad in things. Federico says, good night, folks. Enjoy the pizza. Bina says, yes, nostalgic for Pizza Hut, the red cups, the buffets. Basically, they're exactly what I was just nostalgic for. I'm way more American than I like to admit, apparently. Alan Sandoval says, some pizza places in Nicaragua don't put the tomato sauce on the pizza. They give you ketchup packets. He's right. They really do. But also, some of them put the pizza sauce on and give you ketchup packets. Like, that's not quite so bad. But yeah, no, it's like a little bit of bad cheese thrown on some bread and then they give you some ketchup packets. Like, you got to watch what you're doing. You can end up with some pretty bad pizza here, like Texas bad pizza. Fawn Sheriff, yes, I would love that. I hope you're not talking about the ketchup packets with the pizza and are actually talking about the old Pizza Huts. I feel like if we got together here in Nicaragua, I feel like we could make a Pizza Hut of the past without actually being Pizza Hut. Of course, Pizza Hut's here, so they could do it too. But honestly, the Pizza Huts here are like that. Now they're updated. So Pizza Hut when I was young was dark wood everywhere, dark carpet. Like you went into a den of pizza. It shouldn't have been called Pizza Hut. It was Pizza Den. And I feel like you often stepped down into them. I probably imagine that part. But it was so like cold and dark and cave-like. And then you would eat your pizza, and all the lighting was very yellow. And the Pizza Huts here in Nicaragua still are full of people dining in. Like that is a big thing. And I've been there with friends and done parties with pizza and all that. With doing that, it's a real popular to go with big family groups, get big things of pizza, and everybody sits around. And it's the same experience as the old days, but without that dark wood like feeling. But they actually still do the big family going out to Pizza Hut thing here. It is part of the culture. So I think we could recreate one of those old style Pizza Huts with like that dark everything. And Nicaraguans love dark everything. So it might actually work in Managua to have like a specialty place that was like the cave of pizza, and you could theme it and make it really cool. And I think that would work. I don't know if it would be like wildly popular, right? You're not going to, like I always say, you're not going to be able to turn around and make some huge amount of money on any business in Nicaragua, especially something that you're competing against other things. But I think you could make a place that people would enjoy going to, and you'd keep it busy. If that's your mark of success, then I think you could do it. We had a fireplace in our old time one. Wow. I never was in one with a fireplace that I can remember. Cool Carmad says, what are some of the food major brands you can think of that are available there? Give me some examples of what you mean, because, I mean, we can get most anything if it's a major brand. Bina says, how much do you usually tip for food delivery there? 45 cord? Almost always. That's the maximum that Pedidos Ya allows you to do without you having to type it in. Basically, they have defaults, and then they have a list of options. I just pick the highest one because I live far away, right? I am not in the city center. I want my delivery guys to fight over me, and I want them to get here quick, and you know what? They do. So I always get delivery out here, so I make sure that they like it. So I'm only giving them like an extra 30 cents or something, but it's the difference between everyone else just gives me this. These guys always give me an extra 30 cents. Worth it. Kim says, I know you've talked about buying used cars in Nicaragua before. My question is there any sites you use in Nicaragua to get in contact with people that sell their cars? It's been a headache. No. Yes, it will be a headache. I don't use this. So I have no access to any site for anything. I'm not saying like I don't, right? I am unaware. I don't have Facebook, first of all, so I don't use that because I don't have it. There is no site for real estate, no site for cars. I have nothing. If it's not word of mouth, I got nothing. Or going into a dealership. That's it. We bought ours used. We bought it word of mouth. That was a bad idea. We got pretty screwed on that. Larry says, are you entering the fishing tournament at Playa Giliquillo on August 11th? I have not. I have not fished for easily 40 years. I do not fish. I eat fish. If you catch fish, I will eat it. That will make me happy. But I do not enjoy fishing. I don't enjoy dealing with fish that have been caught. Outside of eating them, I will cook them, but I don't like prepping them. I don't like scaling them. I don't like any part of it. I don't enjoy it until it has been well fried or grilled, and then I am happy to partake in the final food. I did not know that there was a fishing competition, though. That sounds cool. Food chains. Okay, so there's a few food chains that do exist. The obvious ones we just talked about, McDonald's, and they just opened in Esteli like 2 days ago. Burger King, they used to be here in Leon, but they didn't make it, only in Managua now. Carl's Jr. just got out here to Leon. They've been in Managua, but now they're here. We had Hard Rock Cafe. They failed miserably. They lost so much money. I think they owed something like $1 million in arrears when they fled the country. TGI Fridays is here. Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't know if that's actually sometimes they're copies, right? Like it's hard to say. Subway. Someone always jumps in and reminds me of one or two that's like, oh, duh, I go there all the time, and I forget that it's here. But There's not that many, but there is a little bit. I think those are definitely the main ones. There's not a lot. If you really, really, really have a hankering. So one of the obvious ones that like seems like it should be here and is not, there's no Taco Bell. So we go to Costa Rica for Taco Bell because the nearest one's in Liberia. And if you want like a KFC or anything like that, don't be fooled. People will tell you there's one in Managua. There's not. They didn't check. They saw someone wrote it on a map one time, and everyone's like, "There's a KFC." There's no KFC, but there is a KFC in Honduras, really close to the border. So some people will go up there. Not many. If you really want to get a lot, you've got to get up to like El Salvador and Guatemala, and then there'll be just tons and tons. And of course, Costa Rica has a lot. But here it's that handful for the most part. It is a lean selection for the most part. They are saying that my pizza will be here sometime in the next 20 minutes. Yes, the old Pizza Hut. Yes, it was dark. Yeah, for sure. Patricia says, are Nicaraguans excited about the Olympics? To the best of my knowledge, we're not aware of them. Maybe everyone is talking about them and I've just missed it because I am not interested in any way whatsoever. The only thing that I have heard so far in the country is that they want people to swim in sewage and that France is disgusting and that no one wants to go and that the Olympics are highlighting the incredible lack of democracy and freedom of speech in France. Other than that, I've heard not one thing about the sports, and I'm not aware of anybody watching or talking about it. It's so far outside of the normal anything in Nicaragua. Like none of those sports are things that anybody cares about here. So it's all very strange. Are any of their athletes expected to win a medal? I don't know that they have any athletes. They probably do. But seriously, crickets on that. Like that is a first world sporting event for sure. Because it's all based on the size of your population. Right, so if you're not one of the giant nations with huge populations, it's pretty much a big joke. Bina says, man, I should really have gone to Pizza Hut in Managua next time. Yes, it'll change your life. Cool Carmas, Patricia, with all the opening garbage ceremonies, I hope not. Bina says, Kim, when it comes to buying and selling, renting anything in Nicaragua, you pretty much just use Facebook, which sucks. I hate Facebook. Yeah, I don't even have it. It sucks. Facebook Marketplace, I'm guessing, right? Probably Marketplace in most cases. Don Timoteo, there's a rower from Grenada in the Olympics. Well, at least there's somebody there. TJ says Burger King. Yep, we go to Burger King all the time because they have a big vegetarian selection. I'm told Carl's Jr. in Managua has vegetarian, but not in Leon, which pisses me off because we live in Leon. Like, how many vegetarians are there? We're like major vegetarians for the country. We eat. We would be at Carl's Jr. all the time if they had vegetarian. Like, that's of all the places to just not put it in that branch. Brian says, Fridays might not last long there. Believe they are filing bankruptcy. Oh, really? Like, as a full chain? I mean, I imagine they're not busy here, but I've not been. So maybe they're really busy. I don't know. Don says, there is a Hooters. There is a Hooters. I forgot about that. Right? Is it in Plaza Once or next to it? But yeah, there's a Hooters on the Carretera Messiah. Not sure if it's really a Hooters. It is really a Hooters. I do know people who've been there, and it is really a Hooters, which is disappointing because Hooters is awful. So it would have been way better had it been a copy that did it better. Pina says, what is that Nicaraguan chicken chain with the playground? Tip Top. Of course, that was all right. Top something. Tip Top is the equivalent of McDonald's in the country. Patricia says there's Encuentra24.com for cars, but it's probably more risky than word of mouth. Yeah, Encuentra is like Craigslist, so there's nothing verifying anything, and in theory you can find stuff, but it's mostly scams, so you gotta be really careful. Still nice to see what's available and how much people are asking. The problem is with Encuentra is that a lot of it's fake. Cars probably not as much as like houses, but just be aware that it is often not real. Mo Money Don, do you use a gimbal for for videos? I thought we were talking video games, and I was going to be like, whoa, what would you do? Do you use a gimbal for videos? I was looking at the new DJI Osmo 6. Looks really cool. So, move my head. Yeah, I've got 3 or 4 gimbals. This is the Hohem. I do have an Osmo. It's an older one. It's not bad. I think Hohem is probably a better value. in gimbals. If you're just looking at something for your phone, I use them extremely little. What I find is that the GoPro is so stabilized without a gimbal that rarely do I want one. I love gimbals, don't get me wrong. The footage that you get off of a gimbal is so nice, and like I love that it's got a tripod and a mount, and like there's super useful. And it's like under $100. Like we're not talking about some big complicated thing here, right? So if it's something you're interested in, I would say get one. Don't spend too much if it's your first one. The Hohem is nice. The Insta360 is nice. The DJI is definitely nice. Those are probably my go-tos. The Feng Ye or whatever is good. But it Brian, with auto sales is a scam in general. That is true. If you're working with a phone and you want to be able to just use your phone and you want to up your phone game, I actually have. I'm gonna Mo Money Done. I'm gonna share this. It's funny that you asked because I did a gimbalized video just a few days ago. Oh gosh, people reaching out to me trying to get me to sponsor the sports teams. No, I don't want to sponsor your sports team. I probably have to. Mo Money Done. This is the video. I do an evolution of filming using a phone to give you some ideas, and I talk about the gimbal on there. And that is this gimbal that I use, and this one, if you guys can see it, hopefully you can. Yeah, this is a LiDAR unit. Oh, I probably left. No, I turned it off. So it's called an AI LiDAR. It's not AI, come on. But it's a cool little individual unit. It's got a light in it. Did that just turn on? I don't know. It has a light in it on this part over here. So if you're filming close, it just adds a little bit of light to who you're filming. Doesn't do much. It does help, I guess. Is it going to turn on if I... Nope, I think it might be dead. I don't know. But it's got a LiDAR unit in it, which is really cool. And that tracks you even if you don't have a phone with tracking or anything. And so it does a really good job of knowing where you are. And so it'll follow you around, which can be really nice. That is a feature that I truly love. And I have an iPhone that does a really good job with image quality. So I'm able to get, if I put the two together, and this is a 13, by the time I get the 16 later this year, like the quality of recording that you can do with a nice gimbal and a nice phone really is good. Like it's fantastic. And these things have really good microphones on them now. Like you can do so much with that combination, and a gimbal increases the quality, the image quality from your phone, not just making it stable. By making it stable, it will actually increase the image quality in other ways, which is counterintuitive, or not counterintuitive, but it is unintuitive that is true. It would seem like, well, yeah, of course it's more stable, but is that all that it does? No, it actually, the phone will try to do things if you don't have a gimbal, and the gimbal lets the phone focus on doing other tasks that are more important for image quality. And so it actually looks better when you have a gimbal in most circumstances, and it can handle low light really well. So I love it, and if it's the right thing for you, it could easily be a slam dunk and a cheap purchase. What I don't like about them is that they're big and bulky, and like carrying this around and charging another thing and having this and trying to learn all the controls is a bit of a pain. And a lot of times when I'm going on a shoot, I don't want to film with my phone. So having this gimbal that encourages me to use my phone doesn't work for me because I don't want to do that. So I work with my GoPro most of the time, which I'm gonna reach up here and grab it. So this is my GoPro with the media kit on it. Right, and so it's a lot smaller, but it's got this extra housing with this, and it's got HDMI out, so I can like use this for live streaming. I can power it on this. I can put in external mics. It has an external mic, and this is a dead cat to kill the wind. And the GoPro has a much higher resolution than my phone and uses that for digital stabilization. And so while the gimbal can do things, and when you use a gimbal, you get that buttery smooth movement. But when I use the GoPro, I get a little bit more accurate movement, even though it's a little bit shakier, but it feels a little bit more visceral. I think for like my walk-arounds that people actually prefer it. That may be a misimpression of mine, but it is it's a slightly different experience. But when you watch my walk-arounds, This is what I'm using. This is the 12. You may see the 9 and the 11. This one's my best one, but they're nearly identical. I mostly just have them because they wear out. But when I'm walking, I've got this on a stick, and I try to hold it a little bit steady. But this thing's digital stabilization is so good, but it allows me to have absolute control. So if something happens, a dog goes to bite me, I go whoop, and it's going to move because it has to. I'm moving the sensor down there. And so it will do everything it can do to stabilize within that movement, but only within that movement, obviously. And so it allows me to have a level of control and speed that a gimbal does not. If I take the gimbal and go, it's going to find ways to keep the camera where it was and then slowly bring it down. And I'm going to miss things. So it depends what you're doing, whether you would like one. And I love having the option of a gimbal. I'm getting a Pocket 3, which has a built-in gimbal, so it's like this, but it's kind of like combining the two together. That's going to be really good for me, I think, for a lot of things. But because the GoPro is so good, I don't use a camera gimbal. I can go months without taking this out. Very, very rare that I'm going to use one. But I do like them, and it can be good on if you have the right thing that you're going to film. I also have a big DJI Ronin, like professional one for my big cameras for this, that I can use. But again, that uses so much effort that extremely, extremely rare that I'm going to do that. Like, you guys have never seen footage that I've done with that. My pizza is en route, just so you know. So you may find it a thing you really enjoy. There's trick photography you can do with it. There's this amazing stabilization. The one that you're talking about, I know, is a phone one. It's a small one. So you're talking about doing stuff with your phone. If you're looking at a small investment that gives you a lot and you already are invested in your phone, perfect. If you don't mind splurging and spending some money and you want something that's a lot more versatile, chances are the GoPro is going to be more versatile. But the GoPro, and this is one of the reasons that I use it for the walkarounds, it's permanently focused in the distance. I can't do this and have the focus change. Like oh, it picked the cat. I have no idea why, but that's kind of cool. Now you can see it. And then we come back, right? I can't do that with this. It's always going to be back there. Always. But with my phone, it does really good at knowing what to focus on, and you get nice focus, and it does a great job. So my phone beats the GoPro in a lot of ways. Add the gimbal to it, and you can get some buttery smooth, a whole bunch of stuff. You can do things where it follows you around. A lot of good reasons to do it. But for me, I have enough other equipment, I think, that it fills in the gaps. When I didn't have a GoPro, let me go back. When I only had a GoPro 5, I had a GoPro 5 with a gimbal, and that was amazing. I loved it. I then, when I moved on from the GoPro 5, got, not this one, but an old Osmo for my phone. That was good, and I enjoyed that. With the GoPro 9, I earlier than that they did it, but my first one with the stabilization was 9. The digital stab was so good that I was like, I never bother to take out the gimbal because it's so rare that it does what I want easiest. But depending on what you're filming, it could be the right thing for sure. Patricia says there's 6 Nicaraguan athletes competing in Paris and 1 competing in Tahiti for surfing. 6 women and 1 man. Mo Money Done. We are tip-top. We're at tip-top a lot. While they're pretty good, they do have KFC in Leon. Do they have KFC? No, you missed that, Mo Money Done. There is no KFC in Nicaragua. The nearest one is in Honduras. There is listed on the map one in Managua. There is none. That is completely false. I don't know why it's listed, but it does not exist. And partially they don't exist because there's Tip Top and so many competitors to KFC. I'm not saying they're bad. Like, I don't eat chicken, right? So I've never eaten chicken. I mean, I have. That was a silly thing to say. I have not eaten chicken since long before I moved to Nicaragua. By 15 years before I moved to Nicaragua the first time. So I have not ever had chicken abroad, right? U.S. and Canada only for my whole life. So I am in no way a reference as to quality, but I can tell you that things that look and feel an awful lot like KFC are the bread and butter. That is a weird expression to use in this context of food here in Nicaragua. They are absolutely everywhere. And so you can imagine a lot of communities not being super thrilled with an American chain taking over something that is a Nicaraguan staple. And you can imagine that an American chain would be cost prohibitive as a food item when you can easily get probably as good or better all over the place. I just say probably. I have no way to know. Maybe they're all terrible and KFC is the best. I don't know. But I doubt that you will find one here. All those American chains, they really do struggle. McDonald's does really well because it's so incredibly famous. Burger King because it has such a unique menu, mostly vegetarian. Carl's Jr., they managed to have 2 locations, 3 locations, maybe. Like, that's it. But, like Hard Rock Cafe, they're gone. Right? They were not even close to competitive, and they were in a great location. So a lot of those places, they just don't have what it takes to compete in this market because for a lot of reasons. One is that Nicaraguans don't tend to like food variety. So just offering variety does not give you an automatic market in any way. Nicaraguans tend to be extremely demanding, especially if you're in a group, that at least one person in the group will refuse to eat if they don't have traditional Nicaraguan food. So imagine Americans who are like, I won't eat anywhere that doesn't have hot dogs or at least a hamburger. And you could go to a lot of places under those conditions, and that's why every family restaurant offers a hamburger as an option. But if you had somebody who's like, no, I won't go in. Well, okay, all Chinese food is ruled out, all Mexican food is ruled out, all sushi is ruled out. You're like, oh man, like there's so little. And that's kind of what's happening in Nicaragua. There's we're Nicaraguan, this is what we eat, and there's only this really tiny range of acceptable foods. Restaurants that don't cater to that just don't make it. And so McDonald's has a massive amount of Nicaraguan food on the menu. Like they listened, right? And that's how they've accommodated that. But a lot of and Burger King, like there's enough people who eat burgers and chicken sandwiches that it works out okay. They definitely miss out some because they do it in a very American way, but they do have a good audience scale because of the type of food that they have. But other places, there's a reason why there's no Taco Bell. There's a reason there's no KFC. There's a reason there's no Panda Express. All those things. I would love to see them or something like them. That would be absolutely amazing. If there was Indian food, we don't have any. If there was a Panda Express, I haven't yet to find anything like that. We finally found some good Chinese food in Managua, but they're nothing like the Chinese food that I grew up with. It's just good Chinese food, but it misses my nostalgic or like the thing that I'm looking for, and I don't have that. There's just a lot of those kinds of things I really wish we had, partially because of my American palate. Like, it is what it is. Like, sometimes I just miss the food of my childhood. Larry says, Little Caesars, Hooters, Pizza Hut, and PriceSmart are American companies. Yep. PriceSmart is the founder of Costco. His actual name was Price. And so this is the one, he eventually sold off Costco and kept a number of locations and changed their name to PriceSmart. And so they're the original, and they share a supply chain, but they are a different company. And my food is here. I gotta go. Thanks for joining me, everybody. How do you know when you are that the landlord is legit? Just make sure he's really the landlord. Have a lawyer check it out. That's what I do for everything. Always have my lawyer. Anytime I'm doing anything that costs more than $100, my lawyer does all the contracts. Always. It's one of those things when you live abroad. It has nothing to do with Nicaragua. When you live abroad, always have a lawyer that you trust and works with everything, because there's just a million times that you need them for the little things. It'll make your life so much better. It's one of the best things ever.